Today, we're going to talk about the differences between a fire alarm system and a security system. A fire alarm system is designed to protect the property, while a security system is designed to protect your life. And know the difference matters the most than what people actually realize. When it comes to a fire alarm system, it is installed and designed to save the building structure, to notify the occupants, so that way you can get out the building safely, to shut down control, so that way you don't move any smoke around the building. It provides a whole lot of functional controls and life safety enunciation, so that way you can know that there's some type of emergency and you can get out of the building or even that particular area. A security system, more so like a camera system, an intercom system, or a burglar alarm system, that is there to protect the property. We're going to watch the doors. If you have sensitive doors, we're going to control the access of who can get into the building, who can get out of the building. Same with a burglar alarm system. We're going to protect our property, our homes, or even our apartments, or even our small business, so that way no one can break into our business. We can notify the authorities like the police department to get there in time to stop these thieves. Then there's also camera system, which is more so of a deterrent. We're sitting there watching you 24 hours, or watching a perimeter, watching an area for 24 hours in case of any type of negligent activity at night, any type of break-ins. We can see who's actually doing it. And in today's market, we have super sophisticated cameras, 8 to 10, 20 megapixel type cameras, where you can see so much detail, color at night, so you're not getting away from anything. Now, when a fire alarm system goes into alarm, it has an actual alarm event. That signal is then transmitted over to the central station. That central monitoring station is then taking that signal, that alarm signal, and immediately calling the fire department, because they don't know if the building is actually on fire or not. So their job is to request that the fire department get there within 3 to 5 minutes to make sure that this building is not on fire. That's why it's important for you to maintain your fire alarm system, so that way you can reduce or have no false alarms at all. When a security system goes into alarm, it also transmits a signal over to the central station. Instead of them calling the fire department, they're going to be calling the police department, or they're going to be calling some type of medical agency, or they're going to be calling you, but they're going to be calling some other type of authority, unless you have smoke detection or CO detection connected to your burglar alarm system and you identify that as a smoke zone. That is the only time that they will send the fire department to your place of establishment if you have a burglar alarm system. So as we know, a fire alarm system, you have to comply with some strict rules from NFPA, your AHJ. NFPA is your National Fire Protection Association. They have books on NFPA 72, which talks about the initiating devices, the notification devices. There's NFPA 70, which talks about the wiring, the fire alarm wiring, also electrical wiring. There's many different type of national code books that a fire alarm system has to adhere by. And they also have to adhere by the AHJ, which is the authority having jurisdiction. That is usually your local fire department, a federal agency, or any type of government facility. So with any system that you are working on, installing, trying to understand how to create a business out of it, you must understand the best practices for each one of these systems. Maintain monitoring. You want to reduce nuisance alarms, keep your smoke detectors clean. You want to do semi-annual inspections. You want to also make sure your system is always trouble-free. They always have to be trouble-free. So it is your job to make sure your system is always up to par, no matter if it's a fire alarm, burglar alarm, camera system, or an intrusion system. So I've been doing this for a very long time, and every building I go into, I'm always scanning the facility of wherever I'm at, looking at how other installations was done, if it was up to code or not, somebody cut corners. A lot of times the average person couldn't identify what the end devices are on a fire alarm system or even a security system. So that's why we're here to educate you on, especially when it comes to a fire alarm system, what the different types of smoke detectors look like, what the different types of heat detectors look like, what's the difference between a horn strobe and a speaker strobe, and also the difference in candela ratings when you're dealing with just strobe devices. So there are many different types of end devices for a fire alarm system that you may not be familiar with, that we're going to familiarize you with. And the same as burglar alarm and CCTV systems, we see them all the time. We see what cameras look like, we see what door contacts and motion detectors look like, but there's also a control panel, there's also communicators, there's also glass break detectors, there's a lot of other types of devices that you may not understand what they are, how they can help you, or what even that they do. So you may be confused on these different types of devices and may even cross devices from one system to the next. You cannot put motion detectors or door contacts on a fire alarm system. I mean, you can, but it's not designed to monitor those particular type of points. But you can put a smoke detector or a heat detector or even a CO detector on a burglar alarm system. There's very big distinctions and differences between a fire alarm system and a security system. We know that the fire alarm system must comply with a lot of these codes, rules, and regulations. In addition to that, they have to pass an inspection by the fire department. The fire department will have to come to your site, test each and every smoke detector, duct detector, heat detector. If you got a heat gun, they need to verify that each and every one of these signals are reporting back to the central station and it's displaying the correct information. Once everything is installed and the inspectors see that your system is up to code, then they will give you a letter of recommendation that your system is in compliant. The customer can open for business and your system will be approved. On the security side, there's really no regulation on how to get your system approved. There's just right ways of doing when you're running wires, mounting electrical boxes, specific height requirements and things like that that you have to follow when it comes to a security system. But no one is going to physically check that system off and say that it's installed correctly or not. However, you always want to make sure that anything you install is installed correctly. You don't want to install a security system that's defaulty because you're trying to protect someone's property. You're trying to protect someone's life. So just make sure you do it the right way the first time. At Secure Securities, we design full fire alarm systems, our camera systems, our burglar alarm systems. So every system that we install, because we do the government work and they like to see shop drawings, design drawings, so that way we could give it to the electrician and they could run all the wires, put the end devices in, we go there and program it. So when it comes to everything that we do installations on a small scale ourselves, but most of the time we're hiring electricians to actually fulfill that part of the installation when it comes to the fire alarm system. Now, every system we install, put in, have to be met with code. That's like within our normal behavior that every system we design has to comply with code. There's no way to get our drawings or our plans approved if it's not up to code. So it is definitely a requirement, like a norm, that your system has to at least have the minimum requirement for any particular application that you're designing your fire alarm system for. It's very important that you understand how to design a system and what the requirements are for any different type of building classification you are trying to install a fire alarm system in. So always remember, clarity prevents emergencies and confusion creates them. So I want you to share this with someone who still thinks fire alarm and security is the same thing. Or also share this with someone who you think that this may help. So if you're in a life safety world, I want you to follow this show as I break down the industry in plain English each and every single day. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast, YouTube, wherever you digesting this information at. And I'm the fire alarm expert. We could chop it up in the comments if you have any questions, or you can send us an email at info@securedsecurities.com. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.